to this stage to address this esteemed body. Please welcome my senior senator and great friend, Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ken. It's great to be here this morning. Are you tired of speeches? No, there's so many more. By the way, how about our incredible leader, Keith Ellison, who shows us, as do all the Democratic AGs across the country, that we can fight this in the courts and win, but we've also got to fight it in the Congress and with our constituents by our side. You are going to hear from our great governor, Tim Walz, who you're a little bit familiar with. And you'll meet State Senator John Hoffman, who, with his wife Yvette, their daughter Hope, survived that horrific night of a massacre. And today we talk about Melissa and Mark and the loss, but we also remember those that lived. So Democrats, are you ready to get to work? Are you ready to win? Because I sure am. Are you ready to fight this power grab in places like Texas, where Donald Trump, Greg Abbott, and Ken Paxton and these rubber stamp Republicans are trying to stop voters from voting? And we want to thank Gene Wu for his incredible remarks and for coming here today. So today we tell the country that we stand with Gene Wu and we will fight Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton in the courts. And what do they say in Texas with their no cattle, right? Big hat, no cattle approach to democracy. When the people aren't with you, what do they do? They try to win by brute force. You know, in the old days, if a party was having trouble, if their agenda was out of sync, if their candidates were bad, you would change those candidates. You would change that agenda. But these guys, they're just trying to change the voters. And we are not going to just stand and let it happen. I lead the Freedom to Vote Act in the United States Senate, and I saw how close we were, 2 Democrats short. Those 2 states remember this, 2 Democrats short of passing that bill into law, which would have banned partisan gerrymandering. And the court said that we can do that. So while we wait to get this in place and put some national rules of the road in place, we will, as so many of our leaders have told you, we will not back down. We are going to stand with Governor Newsom and the state of California in taking this on, because we will not let them set the playing field. So I'm ready to fight for democracy. I'm ready to fight for those voters in Virginia and in New Jersey. And I'm excited to add those 2 incredible women governors into those states with Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger. 71 days until those victories. And as Ken has probably told you, we have already overperformed for all of those doubters out there in 36 of the 37 races where Democrats have been on the ballot. We have overperformed or won in those races. So I am not, I will declare this, part of the We Suck caucus, okay? I am just tired of this because we have a job to do. And I want to thank Ken for bringing us to Minnesota, for bringing us to the Minnesota State Fair, where you can actually take a tour, as I'm sure many of you did, of the Princess Cay of the Milky Way butter carving, of the crop art, of the Machinery Hill, of the Pet Pavilion. So think of all those places you can bring your kids. But meanwhile, back in Washington, Donald Trump has literally shut down the White House for tours of school kids so he can build a ballroom. So, you know, we are all worried because he keeps putting out there that he's going to unconstitutionally run in 2028. But now we know what he's really going to do in his retirement. He is paving the way for his debut on Dancing with the Stars. That is his plan. He's going to be salsaing out the door with RFK Jr. and foxtrotting out with Pete Hegseth. I know it's a bad image, but I thought. So, as Ken noted, he was my party chair. We won all these elections. When we first came in, We had Norm Coleman as the other senator, we had a Republican governor, and we had a delegation that included, well, Michelle Bachmann. But we set our expectations high, election after election after election. And it's time for us to do that across the country. And we have to make the case plain and simple on bread and butter, that Donald Trump is hurting us, that he is hurting people from Oregon to Kentucky, that he is hurting people in red, purple, and blue states. We must make the case, and I know a little bit about this because a whole bunch of people in my state voted for me and Donald Trump. And they voted for him because they believed that he'd bring down costs. Well, Democrats, costs are up, chaos is up, and corruption is up. And he has broken his promises to the people of this country. And it is not the rich who are paying the price. The price is being paid by families. And we got to steer right into this economic message. $2,400 extra coming out of their pockets every year because of this Trump tariff tax. $300 of that in higher food prices. It's being paid by 16 million people who are set to lose their health care because of the big, beautiful betrayal of a budget bill. It is being paid by grandmas in nursing homes right now. The hundreds of rural hospitals that have either closed or at risk of closing. The $3.4 trillion in new debt that is going to be on the shoulders of your kids and your grandkids. The millions who will lose access to food. The millions whose home energy bills are skyrocketing as we see electricity prices go up. All the tax cuts to his buddy, to the wealthiest few. Listen to these numbers. 50% of kids in this country are covered by Medicaid or CHIP. 40% of all births are covered by Medicaid, even higher in rural communities. Over 60% of nursing home residents are covered by Medicaid. And do you know what percentage of Americans are billionaires? Anyone want to guess? It is 0.00024. That's who gets the benefits of this bill. So nearly everyone gets a raw deal out of this bill, except those 0.000 percenters. Who gets a raw deal? Beth Beneke, an Army veteran, mom, and owner of Busy Baby in southern Minnesota. She started a successful small business selling products for high chairs. She was Minnesota Business Person of the Year. She came to Washington, got honored by the Small Business Administration a few months ago, and then had to come over and do a press conference with us and Senator Schumer and our other leaders about what was happening because she's getting decimated. She is roadkill to these tariffs. Or the UCLA cancer researcher on the verge of innovative and critical breakthroughs whose NIH grant was pulled. Or the UP Michigan hotel manager whose bookings were canceled this summer because people can't justify taking a vacation, or because so many of our friends in Canada are pissed about being called the 51st state and won't even cross the border anymore. Or the farmer in New Mexico relied on immigrant workers who are too afraid to do it anymore. And we have a message to Donald Trump. Immigrants don't diminish America, they are America. The president, he doesn't seem to get that his decisions have a devastating ripple effect. Or maybe he just doesn't care when people get hurt by them. That's why we must stop these rubber stamping Republicans. No one likes weak people in Washington, right? No one wants that right now. Even if they voted for him, they want someone that's going to stand up and call them on it and look out for their own states. And that's why when you go home from these meetings and you leave our great state fair, I want you to remember that we got to organize. And especially you in the red and the purple states know we need to organize. Democrats, yeah. But we also have to organize independents and moderate Republicans who in the past have stood up for democracy, depending on the election. Thank you, one person. They have stood up. Yeah. They have stood up state by state and precinct by precinct. Because week after week, day after day, and this is what they get, what regular people get, people that come up to me at the state fair at my booth, they get that this administration is whipping up these unnecessary crises to distract from the real world, to distract from their high rent, to distract from that they don't have enough housing, to distract from that they don't have enough child care. He's upturning the economy. He's targeting people. And week after week, we get a new spin cycle of fallout. And so what does he do? He blames other people, right? This is why that Fox News poll, one of my favorite ones that came out, showing him way underwater and handling the economy. I don't know if you knew what he did on Truth Social after that. He put a post out and he blamed Fox News. He said Fox News is corrupt and that's why MAGA hates them, except their anchors are great. That's what he did. So he blames them. He blames the statisticians for his bad job numbers. Remember that? In fact, he fired the woman who had the audacity to tell the truth and then blamed her for getting the facts straight. I mean, the irony when your response to a bad jobs report is to fire somebody, but that's what he did. He blames immigrants for his dismantling of due process and our Constitution. He blames mail-in ballots for his inevitable midterm election losses. He even blamed Democrats for the Epstein files, which, as I noted, is like the CEO who got caught on camera blaming Coldplay. Trump's blast radius, his blast radius, it is affecting all of us. But we're not joining that We Suck club. We're not getting sucked into it when they try to divide us on every single issue online, because we have a more important job to do. Complaining about each other to each other, it's not how we win again. It sure doesn't help the families who are getting torched in his economy. It sure isn't going to help the union workers who are thrown out of the jobs that they are devoting themselves to, working to help people for years. It's not going to help the union workers who are getting thrown out of hospitals because the hospitals have to close down or curtail their services. It's not going to help the union workers who are out there affected by those tariffs. Because when unions are strong, our economy is strong. And when our economy is strong, America is strong. And if anyone, looking at Pennsylvania over there, if anyone knows a little bit about unions, if anyone's still wondering what's at stake this year, let me tell you. You all know the House of Representatives is well within reach. You know the job that Hakeem Jeffries is doing, recruiting the right candidates, getting people in place. But no one, and I mean no one, should write off the U.S. Senate. We surprised the nation, took it back. Some of you remember this. A while back, we did it back then by winning states that no one thought we had a chance to win in. Back then it was Virginia, Missouri, Montana, right? So here's the numbers, and I want you to think about this, because you know these states are within reach, and you know which you are. A lot of it has to do with the gut punch that we're experiencing in rural America, right? So if Democrats, think of this for inspiration, had 5 more votes than the U.S. Senate, Pam Bondi would not be Attorney General today. That's the stakes. If Democrats had 4 more votes in the U.S. Senate, we would have saved the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau on its mission to protect Americans from shady, shady companies. If we had 3 more votes in the U.S. Senate, we would have kept the Corporation for Public Broadcasting alive. 3 more votes. And we would have funded the PACT Act to make sure that our veterans get the help they need, what they need, and even block the tax cuts for billionaires. 3 more votes. And by the way, if we had 3 more votes, RFK Jr. wouldn't be in charge of Americans' health, and Tulsi Gabbard would not be the Director of National Intelligence. If we had 2 more votes, and you know that's in reach, you know that's in reach Ohio with Sherrod Brown running. You know that that is in reach North Carolina with Cooper running. Did you put them in the front for a reason there? Okay. If we had 2 more votes, just 2 more votes, we could have kept Doge out of Social Security, saved the program that keeps our farmers in business and feed the world. And yes, Kash Patel would not be director of the FBI. 2 more votes in the U.S. Senate. And if we had 1 more vote, 1 single vote in the Senate, we would have stopped the across-the-board tariffs. We would have kept the ACA premium tax credit in place, which we're going to try to do again. Don't worry about that. Pete Hegseth would not have his job, and that one big, beautiful betrayal of a bill would not have existed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is your countdown to this election. And if we do it, if we win the House and the Senate, when we get the keys to the car to at least stop this guy and at least be a force like we're supposed to be in the Congress and do our jobs, and you know the states where we can do this, what does that mean? Well, it means that Donald Trump can no longer run the tables on voting rights. It means he can no longer run the tables and gut punch rural America. It means he can no longer run the tables on what? The Supreme Court. That is what this means. That is what is at stake. 71 days till New Jersey and Virginia and the rest of the local elections. I know I was just down in Arapahoe County, Colorado. Where are you? Oh, how fun was that? Those local elections out there, watch for it. Littleton, Aurora, I could go on. We have local elections all over the country coming up. 434 days until the midterm election. So let's win those governor's races. Let's take back the Senate. Let's take back the House and show Donald Trump what Democrats actually stand for. That we stand for the people of this country. And if you need inspiration and you're just going to hear about her, think you have someone in your own life. I always think now about Melissa every single day. You heard about what she did. Ken went through it. School lunch, voting rights, paid family leave, reproductive rights, affordable energy. But for me, I started campaigning with her when we both had little kids. And she would go door to door, and she knew every single house. She'd go, that house has a mean dog. You don't want to go there. That's how she did it. She did it the right way. She did it the Paul Wellstone way. She was a Girl Scout leader. She was a Sunday school teacher. And somehow, for those of you in the legislatures, that made her balance things really well when she got to the legislature. And it allowed her to build coalitions and become the Speaker of the House. So when we lost her and Mark, her kids, incredible, Sophie and Colin, they had the presence of mind because they were grounded in the values of that family. Just within a few days to tell the world this, they said, the best way to honor our parents' memory is to do something, whether big or small, to make our community just a little better for someone else. They gave ideas, pet a dog, preferably a golden retriever, they said. Plant a tree, tell a cheesy dad joke, stand up for what you believe in, especially if that is justice or peace. And in our quietest moments, DNC, when things seem bleak, when everyone's pointing fingers, I want you to think about that inspiration of doing things big or small. It can be small. 1 more volunteer, 1 more door knocking shift, getting people to stay on a little more. It can be a little bigger, recruiting the best candidate you can get, right, for running an election. And then it can be really big, flipping a congressional seat, flipping a U.S. Senate seat. But to believe it, you have to keep that inspiration alive. That's the message that Sophie and Colin left us with. That's the legacy we carry on in this room. So carry on this torch, go out of here and win, and go out of here as the Democrats, fighters, positive people that we are, as a force for good for this country. Let's get it done.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. As always, we have a few more speakers, but I'm so honored that our next speaker is joining us today. Some of you heard from him yesterday briefly at the State Fair before he went over to see the Indigo Girls, so he's got his priorities right. But Let me tell you, I'm sure the governor will talk about this, but you know, one of the first calls, if not the very first call that he made after Vice President Harris put him on the ticket was to Melissa Hortman, to thank her for being a partner, thank her for standing up and fighting with him to do good in this state. You see, what I'm so blessed by here in Minnesota is that we have servant leaders. People like Melissa, of course, but also people like Tim Walz, who are in it for the right reason, don't care about the credit, don't care about getting thanked, just care about rolling up their sleeves, doing the work, and getting shit done for people. Truly, truly. I'm so blessed. I feel blessed. I miss this state so much. I look at Richard all the time, and I'm like, damn, Richard, you got it good here. You do. We're so lucky and fortunate here to have such great elected officials who partner with us in all of our work, and it's my honor to introduce my friend, my governor, Tim Walz.
Wow, good morning. I could see the regret in all your eyes when you missed my rendition of Closer to Fine. So, surrounded by 15,000 of our friends. Well, it's great to see you, Ken. It's good to have you back home again. Welcome to the North Star State. Welcome to the land of 10,000 lakes. Home of the invention of the pacemaker, the Post-it note, and then on the weekend we invented water skiing because we had nothing else to do. Home of Mondale and Humphrey and Wellstone and Klobuchar and Hortman and so many others who drive every day, strive to make this state better, each day a little bit better. And I have to tell you, I'm feeling it in this space. I think for all of you, our state experienced incredible trauma this summer with the murder of Melissa and Mark, the shooting of John Yvette, the heroism of the Hoffman's daughter Hope, and so many stories that came out of it. The last time I was in this space was that night, which so many of us were here with Melissa, and we celebrated the Humphrey Mondale dinner, and we celebrated our accomplishments, and we looked to the future. And then shortly in the early morning hours, the tragedy came. A politically motivated assassination that the current president of the United States doesn't think it's worth his time to acknowledge, and a rhetoric from his followers that continues to perpetuate the climate that leads to these types of things. So I know we gather here in Minnesota. We have not moved on from it. It is not a new news cycle for us that we are forever changed by it. But we're a hardy people. We endure cold winters, normally hot summers. And we've seen these things happen. But I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that legacy that Melissa Hortman leaves was one about improving lives, as Ken said. It was about servant leadership. And today, part of our big debate in Minnesota, when you start school. It's considered sacrilegious to start school before the state fair is over. But some of our educators said it's good to start school and get them back in the classroom. So a lot of our kids are back in school today. And every single one of them who walked through the doors is eating free breakfast and free lunch every day. Every day. And every one of them had access to universal pre-K. Their families had access to the most generous child tax credit in the nation of the 50 states. Our teachers are the best qualified, and we invested historic amounts into public education. And by the way, come this January 1st, we will have the most generous paid family and medical leave in the country for all those families. And don't forget, after we get past Labor Day, we can start school, but I just want to be very clear about this. Minnesota always has been and always will be a union state. We're union proud. And I am proud of this state like so many others, and I will have to tell you, the privilege of my lifetime was stand beside someone we know was the most qualified and would have been a fantastic president in a President Harris. And look, we wouldn't wake up every day to a bunch of shit on TV and a bunch of nonsense. We would wake up to an adult with compassion and dignity and vision and leadership doing the work. Not a man-child crying about whatever's wrong with him. May his fat ankles find something today. Petty as hell. But look, I think for each and every one of you, I know you got a busy day ahead of you. I'm grateful for the work you do. I'm grateful for the focus, and my friend Ken, I've said this to you. The party in Minnesota, the DFL party, made it possible for a high school teacher with no money, no political experience to win a challenging congressional district. And I know this, candidates have a small piece of it. It's that infrastructure that surrounds them that makes that possible. And you're focusing on building the infrastructure in your states. And I want to be clear. If those who say, oh, our state is too hard to win a Senate race, or it's too hard to win a congressional race or whatever, I'm talking about the important races we need to organize to win, like school board races that we need to win, city council races, mayors. So the DNC has a responsibility at the top of the ticket, and I think we know these elections have consequences. We know there would be a very different timeline, but it's not for the lack of the effort of everybody in this room. We just have to make the case to them that the alternative and what we provide, the quality of life, the enhancements, the ability to form a union or send your child to school safely, the ability to have thriving economies that work for everyone, not just that 0.00024 that Senator Klobuchar was talking about, they'll do just fine. They will be fine without our help. Trust me on that. But the focus that we have to make, and I know this is it, we cannot allow, and I was glad to hear Senator Klobuchar say this and all of you, we're proud to be a diverse party. We are proud of the diversity of this country. We're not shying away from diversity as a strength and equity as a goal and inclusion being the air we breathe. That's what we should be doing. But what we have to be clear about is don't take the bait. It boggles my damn mind that in the midst of a military takeover of our cities and the attempt to go into others, the flaunting of the rule of law, the cruelness and the unconstitutional nature of the way they're attacking our neighbors, that the press finds the need to talk about, oh, there's a division in the Democratic Party. There's a division in my damn house and we're still married and things are good. That's life. That's life. We are strong. We are strong because we challenge each other. We are strong because we're held accountable. We're strong because we believe that there's a place for everyone here. Think of how easy it would be to be a damn Republican. Oh, what should I wear today? This stupid frickin' red hat. What should I say today? I don't know. Just make sure it's cruel. Who do we listen to? That guy. Oh, the felon in the White House? Yeah, listen to him and that will be fine. Now he's talking about burning flags. He's going to have flag burning or whatever. Because he knows there's a hell of a lot of flags with his picture on it that are going to get burned. There's a whole lot of that kind of crap that people are sick of. And I have to tell you, we can have our internal decision-making, our internal healthy debates, but I refuse to believe we do not have the luxury to fight amongst ourselves while that thing sits in the White House. So, I'm not telling anyone not to raise their voice. I'm not telling anyone to say, you are too damn old, man, look at you. I'm fine with that. We can figure that part out. But I am willing to say each and every one of us are unified around the idea that this cruelty must end. This slow-rolling attempt at undermining democracy, and I always get in trouble for it, and I'll continue to say it. I don't think we do any favors when we don't name it. These are fascist policies meant to take away ours. That is what they are. So for all of you here, I welcome you to Minnesota. I'm grateful you're here. We know this is going to be, look, if democracy was easy, everyone would do it. And if democracy were easy, it would survive. But the natural order of things is to have people come along like this guy and to have folks want to be told what to do or to demonize someone else or find a scapegoat. That's kind of the way the natural order is, but we've risen above that. This is not the law of the jungle. This is the law of human decency, of human rights reigning first. And I will have to tell you, I saw a statistic came out today is Minnesota ranks the highest per capita for being a safe haven for transgender individuals in Minnesota. And can I just say, we can talk about economic growth and feeding children and growing the economy and creating jobs simultaneously with talking about everybody's human rights matters, and we shouldn't be demonizing that. You can do both. You can do both. So, this state's also the home to a few pretty good poets like Prince and Bob Dylan, who told us we would always provide, and Minnesota always will provide, shelter from the storm. But I also want to quote to the New Jersey folks here, they also got a pretty good poet. Today marks the 50th anniversary of the release of Born to Run. And as that poet said, it ain't no sin to be alive, and I think we're here. This room's born to run, running to a better future, a future that includes everyone, a future where our children are valued and lifted up, a future where immigrants are celebrated just like our grandparents and parents were, a future where we ask people to pay their fair share while we make life a little bit easier for others, and we find joy in the things that you find personally joyful, and I don't give a damn what your neighbor thinks about those things. Those are the things that we are here for. So to each of you, it's a privilege to be in this fight with you. It's a privilege to know that they are going to write about this time period. When he is pushed to the dustbin of history, when people use it as a cautionary tale to scare the shit out of their children of what could happen, this guy's out there. Those will be stories for the future. Our time right now is one foot in front of the other. Do the work that's in front of us. Win those 2 gubernatorial elections that are coming up here. We know we need Virginia and New Jersey. Get those won. Prepare for the midterms, 36 governor's races. Continue to push back every single day on this. Do not allow them to normalize federal troops in our cities. It is un-American and unconstitutional. So DNC, go lead the fight. Thank you guys.